Oh, hello there. Yes, Sunday. It's not raining. It's not freezing. It's not bad. Yes. Anyway, today I just want to highlight a couple of stories in the press. I find myself increasingly having to jump through a whole series of reality filters when it comes to our present government. I just want to sort of highlight a couple of things which I think really show are indicative of a direction of travel that they have. And we are increasingly living in a very, very, very authoritarian state. And one of the bulwarks against the authoritarian state is the fourth estate. Newspapers should be questioning what the government are doing. They're not. They are cheering them on, very much so. And it's very, very, very dodgy. Anyway, let's dive in. Have a look, shall we? Right, first up we have the Daily Express. Having taken down Raab, unelected bureaucrats take aim at Suella's boats crackdown. Braverman vows to push ahead with tough laws to tackle immigration amid fears of civil service sabotage. Yes, indeed. You may recall that there was a report out about Dominic Raab saying that he was a bully. Except now, apparently, according to the official narrative, he isn't still. So presumably the report written by presumably some form of civil servants is a vicious plot just to bring him down. And now they're having a go at Suella. Bless her. Yes, let's move on. Tory MPs fear officials who drove Deputy MP Dominic Raab from office. Yeah, that's the person that wrote the report, having taken in evidence which was accepted by the Prime Minister. Drove. Anyway, now have the Home Secretary in their sights. They have told her to stand by for a vicious new whispering campaign as her flagship Stop the Boats Bill returns to the Commons this week. Senior colleagues warn the Whitehall blob, emboldened by the removal of Mr Raab by flimsy, in inverted commas you notice, allegations of bullying, will go flat out to block her. Last night, defiant Mrs Braverman warned opponents they must not frustrate the will of the people. Yeah, we'll come on to that. She told the Sunday Express, it is now for Parliament to get behind this bill and ensure we will bring it into force as soon as possible to meet the aims of the British public. Yes, it's an intriguing one, that, the will of the people, because if you look back to the 2019, the last time there was a kind of mandate from this government, there wasn't a Stop the Boats bill. Just leave that one hanging. But let's see what the Sunday Express says about that. An exclusive Sunday Express poll reveals strong public backing for radical action to tackle the migrant crisis. Now, bear in mind, guys, this is the same week that the Prime Minister was strongly suggesting that people need better grasp of maths. So let's get into the maths. An overwhelming majority, 42%, leave that one hanging in the air there. An overwhelming majority of people is now 42%, right? Said they were prepared for Britain to withdraw from the European Convention of Human Rights to ensure deportations go ahead. Only 34% were opposed to such action, with 25% undecided. 44% said the need to protect our borders should be given the most consideration if a conflict arises with human rights legislation. Just 33% said that human rights legislation should be the top concern. Yes, now that's one of the most intriguing bits of writing I've seen for quite a bit of time, in the sense that this is, bearing in mind, this is Daily Express readers who have, let's face it, on a majority basis, severe doubts about the notion of overriding international law. And according to the Sunday Express, they're a minority. It really is I don't know. I think I need to frame that. It's quite astounding. Anyway, leaving that aside, let's not forget about our glorious Suella Braverman. She was a woman who is, well, allegedly a barrister, and she doesn't seem to think that the law should ever apply to herself, which is just quite stunning to come from a barrister. She wants, I mean, this week it was announced by somebody who doesn't have to care anymore, William Ragg, that she once asked if a speeding ticket could basically be palmed off on expenses, because after all, why should she be held responsible for any of her actions under the law? Leave that one hanging again. Anyway, a second glorious story, which is I believe is a foreshadowing of lots of stuff that's going to crop up in the next month or so, is this one: extremists' vile plot to spook king's horses with rape alarms. Fears protesters planning to sabotage Charles's coronation could cause serious injuries or even deaths. Ex-Grenadier Guard warns as eco-zealot groups set to join forces to cause chaos. Yes, and this is a story that's based on something that may or may not happen according to somebody who's not named. It then goes on at enormous length to explain to us the imagined thing that probably isn't going to happen, as told by people that don't really know if it's going to happen, but anyway, how bad it'll be. Security forces did not specify which group or groups were behind the plan, but said police and other security officials plan to take a robust response for protesters who attempt to disrupt proceedings. Yes, except it probably isn't going to happen, is it? These people have been saying for the last 2 days that protesters were going to disrupt the London Marathon today. We will see. My bet is that they won't, because, drum roll, they've stated that they won't. That, I don't think, however, is going to stop the Daily Mail. If you recall backwards, which the Daily Mail has kind of done, because at one point in the article they actually referred to an incident in 1981. Yes, imagine that. Once every 40 years something happens with a royal event. Anyway, leaving that aside, think back to Kate and William's wedding. The police at that point actually preemptively arrested over 50 people in London to ensure that the day went smoothly, if I can put it that way. Now, there are an awful lot of right-wingers in this country who will complain loudly about thought crime and the police overstretching their powers. But on the Friday night before this wedding, the police, as I say, preemptively arrested, I think it was 52 people in London. They were then subsequently released without charge the next day. And think about that. This is people who are being arrested for a crime they have yet to commit and being held in a police station so they can't commit the crime, and then they're let go because they haven't committed the crime. And these are under existing police powers. But I'm sure that the Daily Mail and Suella Braverman, because they love the law so much, especially Suella Braverman, are going to present to us that in order to tackle these vile protesters who we make things up about them in our head, need more police laws. I would not be at all surprised. After all, this is a government that is totally embattled and on the rocks. They cannot do anything whatsoever. So the only thing they have left is to become increasingly authoritarian. And when that doesn't quite work, they simply ignore the rule of law. And I will leave you with the thought of, what do we call a government that no longer obeys the rule of law? Anyway, I'm going to be awaiting the West from the New Culture Forum. I'll look forward to seeing that in about an hour's time. Might even do a video for later on. Have a lovely Sunday. Try and enjoy the weather before it rains again. Enjoy.